As you may have seen, Meta is set to launch Threads tomorrow, Thursday, July 6th, which is a standalone app that is a Twitter competitor. Meta's chief product officer told employees, "We've been hearing from creators and public figures who are interested in having a platform that is sanely run." Monday night, Elon replied to a tweet that showed all the data Threads would be collecting from users, was saying, "Thank goodness they're so sanely run." Zuckerberg downplayed it a bit last month on Lex Fridman's podcast. Here's the clip.
I don't know. We work on a lot of things all the time, though, too. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. I mean, we have projects that explore a lot of different things, and this is certainly one that I think could be interesting. But
So what's the the launch date of that again? Or
yeah,
what's the official website? And
well, we don't have that yet.
Oh, okay.
But
All right. All right.
And look, I mean, I don't know exactly how this is going to turn out. I mean, what I can say is, yeah, there's some people working on this, right? I think that there's something there that's interesting to explore.
I get it. It's trial and error. The less pressure, the better. But still, it is a new standalone app from Meta. It is a Twitter competitor. And regardless of the commitment or lack thereof from Meta employees, it is still a fascinating project culturally. We've gotten a few sneak peeks of the interface. I didn't like the name at first because the word thread has been hijacked by one of the most annoying corners of Twitter the past 2 years. But when I really think about it, it's not awful. I like the graphics because I think it represents the nature of such a platform well. You know, it's kind of like a web of information, though I still don't like the S at the end of the name. I also don't enjoy the reply and like count design emphasis. It's like a little harsh on the eyes. And I don't like the order of the engagement options. I think it should just mirror Twitter, reply, retweet, like, share, but I guess obviously it does make sense to more so mirror Instagram. Otherwise, it's clean and simple, which I enjoy. Now getting into the real meat here. I have some other thoughts about the competition that aren't related to people's animosity towards Elon, though yes, he plays a large role in Twitter's trajectory. First, I'll state the bias that Twitter has been my favorite social media by far since middle school, and I've said for years that I think it could win the long game. But today, I'm stepping into some uncomfortable shoes as someone who's been vocally frustrated by Meta over recent years, especially in regards to Instagram, as I'll be discussing their unique opportunity with this new project. In the past, Twitter has not had viable competition. There's always been Facebook, which is Meta-owned, and the social media platform with the most users in the entire world. Its design is text-based like Twitter, but we know the platform does not have a similar use case, nor does it hold the same cultural positioning in the US. LinkedIn is also similar to Twitter in the way that it's mostly text-based, and you can connect with a lot of industry leaders. But as I've said many times, Twitter is what LinkedIn wishes it could be in terms of content, and I'd rather smear my blood on the floor of Twitter HQ than use LinkedIn casually. Otherwise, Tumblr's been shooting their shot. There's Truth Social, but a platform based on political ideology is snooze, boring. Same situation with Parler, throwback to when Kanye was going to buy that. And then lastly, journalists and some of tech Twitter have given attention to Mastodon, which has been critiqued as too complex. Nostr, which I know little about, probably for a reason. And then Blue Sky, which is actually backed by former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey. While some of these things were getting media and Elon critic attention, first of all, aside from celebrity names, the type of content that initially brought on the average person to platforms like Twitter and TikTok, which have an emphasis on dialogue, was humor. Though something that I didn't really see covered at all is that aside from dance videos in 2019 and early 2020, humor was such a catalyst of TikTok's culture. And then yeah, for Twitter, middle school through college, I was only following my friends, pop culture, and humorous accounts on the platform. For the average person, it seems that journalism and dense information doesn't become more important until adulthood because it holds more weight and you're also more aware of the complexities of life. Because also when you're a teen, you're consuming so much heavy information all day in school. So when you get home and go online, you're just kind of trying to chill and or casually socialize. The point about humor was recently confirmed by Twitter co-founder Ev Williams.
Any advice from old Twitter to new Twitter?
Some of the stuff that's trying to come along to replace Twitter is like, this is gonna be a serious place for serious conversations by serious people. And I don't think that's what attracts a global audience. I don't think that's what succeeds ultimately. It's gotta be delightful.
I love that point. Twitter was fundamentally founded on humor.
Yeah.
And it was a bunch of people who liked joking around, and they created a new way to joke.
Yes, while people like journalists are extremely important to eventually have on a dialogue platform, they're not the ones who make things cool and compelling for the average person. They cover cool and compelling things, but they do not set culture. Okay, that's not entirely true because coverage from a journalist does have the potential to create a domino effect on the degree of public discourse and therefore eventually people's mindsets, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, just because a journalist does coverage on something being on the come up or it being something to keep an eye on won't give it longevity. Platform's use case and content standing the test of quality in time is, of course, what ultimately determines its success. Anyway, second of all, there is currently a platform that fulfills like every type of content role. Twitter is text, Instagram is image, TikTok is short form video, YouTube is long form video, Reddit is kind of like, I don't know, underground, secrets, Snapchat is ephemeral messaging, and so on. And these platforms really claim their territory in terms of users' digital footprints over the past decade. Their evolution, connections, memories, feed curation, potential in terms of if they can make income from the audience they've worked to build there. It seems impossible to not necessarily shake things up and take time away from the big players, but yeah, it seems impossible to genuinely kill them. As mentioned here, the landscape seems to be winner takes all, per medium, forever. But something about this thread situation feels like a potential gray area for the first time, and like Elon has tweeted a bajillion times, the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. Now, I don't think Twitter getting run to the ground would be entertaining. I think it would be annoying and feel like I'm moving out of my childhood home that I inherited into adulthood, but a natural disaster struck, so I have to leave everything behind and start a new life, but I'm forever indebted to it, and I would dwell on what could have been, but that's besides the point. Twitter is a platform that has a cultural weak spot that if fulfilled by Meta, who actually has the potential to do so, unlike past competitors, can make the transition very easy for a vital demographic to be hijacked by threats. And that vital demographic is middle and high schoolers. Last year, I told TechCrunch a reason US teens never gave Facebook the time of day was because there are now well over 5 strongly positioned social media platforms to endlessly scroll through, and isn't sustainable for our minds to compartmentalize nor prioritize our relationship with all of them. For the sake of time and sanity, people have to eliminate platforms that begin to lack a value-add incentive. Also, I'm such a bitch for this. The culture cultivated by the average Facebook user is very disconnected from what attracts Gen Z to a platform today, instead exuding the energy of a spam email. But my thesis there about having 5 platforms to endlessly scroll through was tested the other day when this came up on my For You page. A TikTok with 2.3 million views and over 400k likes that says, "Someone's gonna make a new app because I'm tired of opening the same 3 apps every day." My jaw dropped. I was like, these people want another app? What the fuck? And then you go to the comments, and everyone's listing their 3 main platforms, and I kid you not, I'm scrolling for a long-ass time through 13,000 comments, and I do not see Twitter mentioned once. I'm seeing TikTok, Snapchat, Roblox, BeReal, Spotify, streaming services. I'm also barely seeing Instagram, to be honest, but I'm at least seeing it here and there. YouTube barely as well, which is bizarre. But on some real shit, this is really interesting and valuable data that is even at odds with Pew Research's recent data about where US teens are spending their time online. Pew Research had YouTube far at the top and Instagram right under TikTok. Then after Snapchat, it's this pretty drastic drop. But even Facebook is above Twitter for US teens, which has me like, what? Like, genuinely, what US teen is on Facebook? Because Facebook isn't even a hub anymore for college pages, which was kind of the last thread of relevance it was hanging by for younger demographics. Starting in spring/summer 2021, but most notably in 2022, incoming freshmen of most universities transitioned from creating class of insert grad year pages on Facebook to instead doing so on Instagram to find roommates. Also, the Anon drama confession pages that were on Twitter even further back are apparently now also on Instagram. My condolences to everyone who is a victim of that cruelty. This too shall pass. And again, I'm just like, is this Pew Research data correct? But interestingly enough, the number of comments on this TikTok is like 10x the sample size of this study, so who knows? But back to Meta in relation to this demographic, it's true for both Meta and Twitter that whoever can win over this demographic, which doesn't yet have a foundational digital footprint on a text-based platform, likely wins. And yes, I strongly believe they want a text-based platform, or at least will realize they do. We'll get to that. Meta is in a strong position because though Threads is going to be a standalone app, you can assume that whether this demographic spends little or no time on Instagram, but they still at least have accounts. And sure as hell, as they should, Instagram is going to send out a notification to every single user for the Threads launch. Instagram, Snapchat, and now TikTok are kind of known to be the default apps people tend to sign up for once they're 13. Twitter, not so much. And with it being rumored that you'll be able to link your Instagram account to your Threads account, it could create this cohesive ecosystem that will still feel like somewhat of a new and fresh thing. Twitter has always had a tough time bringing in younger demographics, but it's different from Facebook in the way that younger generations just phased out of being compelled by the platform. It's more so that when you first get on Twitter, it's pretty confusing. On Instagram and Snapchat, you know to immediately connect with your friends. On TikTok, you're taken into the For You page, and YouTube similarly with recommended content. Twitter has so much value, but has not been good at connecting new or average users with that value. Though I think the platform's new For You feed has the potential to solve that problem. I just don't know for sure. I haven't tested the theory of creating a new account and checking. In 2021, I had this conversation with people on my Instagram story about the Twitter pipeline. I shared how I noticed my little brother and some of his friends made Twitter accounts really young, but they just didn't get it. They got into Twitter as they got older, which is just kind of like a different nature in comparison to other platforms. Someone replied saying, "The way I see it, there's a pipeline to being a Twitter user. First, you have an interest in it, then you download it, make an account, and then realize you have no clue how to use Twitter, so you get rid of it for a while, maybe 1 to 3-ish years without it. Then all of a sudden, you feel like you're missing out. You re-download Twitter, log into your old account, maybe make a new one, and start following people, and eventually it all just clicks, and now you're an active Twitter user. The fucking thing is, I know a large percent of people that never come back after those 1 to 3-ish years of being confused." Another person replied saying, "That's exactly what happened to me. I made an account in high school and tried it out, but was a bit confused about everything, so I just gave up. And once I got to college, I picked it up again, and it became my favorite app by a kilometer. Short form text is so smooth and easy on the brain. It's the lowest of low barriers to entry. It's like the closest thing to telepathy. I love it." The bulk of the younger demographic that is on Twitter, which is such a small percent of the user base, but it can likely be attributed to Stan Twitter, which is a community of Twitter users that post opinions related to pop culture topics. But most people's favorite celebrities don't post on Twitter aside from promo, because the hostile environment that a text-based platform embodying the energy of a comment section brings. And there are like no ways to mitigate this in a chill way. Yes, you can block people, but people screenshot your block and shit on you. You can hide replies, but people can see that you intentionally hit a reply and they shit on you. But if Threads is able to compel those celebrities who are currently terrified to tweet casually to actually use their platform, obviously that gives them a major leg up. I know celebrities like Oprah and such have already been secured. Not going to have much of an effect on younger demographics. But even if they do get some celebrities that appeal to a younger demographic, I'm not sure how it wouldn't just quickly fall into the same situation of misery. They would have to instill more of those nuanced types of features. But also, like, I don't know if it gets the recruiting users job done quick before that happens. It works, I guess. And if Threads could pull it off, the experience of middle and high schoolers getting on the platform today would probably perfectly emulate middle and high schoolers getting on Twitter a decade ago. You follow your favorite entertainer who was posting on there a lot at the time. Mine was Justin Bieber. You follow your friends who are also making their first accounts, and it fills the void of a text-based social media platform for you. Because again, I strongly don't believe this younger demographic isn't on Twitter because they aren't compelled by text. Aside from TikTok having major cross-platform appeal, Twitter also runs shit. Like I said in this tweet, people undermine the cultural hold that Twitter has over other platforms. So many IG posts are just screenshots of tweets, and so many text overlays on TikTok were originally viral tweets. Someone replied and said, "I saw a brilliant comment on one of those slideshows. Sooner or later, every app becomes a Twitter screenshot app." I also fully agree with this tweet I saw the other week. I side with the Zoomers on a lot of intergenerational culture war shit, but the one bandwagon I'm never going to get on is a preference for camera-based social media over text. The kids are wrong as fuck about this one and will live to regret it. I'm telling you that despite it being the social media platform with the most potential, they really fucked it up the past 5 to 8 years, especially with younger demographics, by making the onboarding process almost too simplified that it is so fucking confusing. And now there's a void for a text-based platform because there hasn't been a genuine competitor, and they're yearning for it. And whether Twitter figures it out or Threads wins them over, whichever platform gets ahead is likely also going to win the social media long game. The multimedia, dialogue, and cultural potential is fucking crazy. Yes, video serves a purpose in a lot of situations, but text is so important, even as just a complement to video, and we already very much see that. Because 70% of Gen Z uses subtitles when watching any form of video, which is significantly more than any of the older generations. So again, younger Gen Z seems to be the demographic that needs to be won over right now. Obviously, I'm not saying to target them in unhealthy, unsafe ways. I'm just talking about creating a useful design and culture that is easy for them to onboard into. So yeah, I'm shaking in my boots a little bit right now. I love Twitter. I'll be here till it's ghost town, if ever. But while I've also sided with winner takes all sentiments like this and have respect for Elon, there is a weird aura around Twitter right now. Completely aside from him overusing that laughing emoji or sometimes playing into the weirdest corners of the culture war, there's just been way too many decisions that completely ignored the institutional knowledge built up over the past decade of social media. And I'm all for trial and error and trying new things, but I'm not for unnecessarily messing with the user experience of millions and causing errors that shouldn't have been approved, let alone even contemplated. But I will admit, I'm like hyper aware and hypercritical of this stuff. So moving on. I also think that independent media and legacy media are very complementary to each other. And though there's a natural tension there because of attention and business reasons, if we're solely thinking culturally, I think they both play such important roles and have their unique set of strengths and weaknesses. And Elon trying to isolate legacy media as the devil is having its effects, and again, creates another audience opportunity for Threads. Elon did appoint a new CEO a few weeks ago now, but not much to reflect on there yet. Linda is a hashtagger, so I'm not sure how much faith I have, though I'm rooting for her. Alright, take this all with a grain of salt. Threads hasn't even launched yet. I'm saying all these opinions based on the assumption that its design and features, interface, whatever, is going to be pretty equivalent to Twitter's, but we do not know yet. Over time, we'll analyze the culture that emerges, if any. Thank you all for being here. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you next time.